hard enough sport when it's sunny and 75. So what grinds my gears is having to sound like get off my lawn guy all the time. Is it just me? Maybe I'm the idiot. Please let me know. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of The Rome Show, broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter X, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella, and we have another interview exclusive for you today. This time, we sat down with the head baseball coach at the University of San Francisco, Mr. Rob DiToma, a friend of the show, as well as a fourth-time participant in the Rome Show. Excited to have Rob back. We talked about a plethora of things, including a historic season for the Dons last year, Rob's thoughts on the future of the NCAA. We asked him some questions on the current state of Major League Baseball. We talked football. Yes, that's right. Football and so much more. So we hope you enjoy this interview exclusive with the head coach of University of San Francisco baseball, Rob DiToma. Welcome in, Rob DiToma, head baseball coach at the University of San Francisco. A not one, not two, not three, but fourth-time returner to the Rome Show. Rob, thanks for coming back, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I must be doing something right.
You're definitely doing something right. And you know how we know that? Because viewerships show us and numbers don't lie. And the numbers show people love Rob. So I'll tell people all day about Rob, San Francisco baseball, and what you do out there on the West Coast. Can you give people a little bit of an idea how long you've been at USF for, Don's baseball, the 2026 season, wherever you want to take the show?
Sure. Well, first off, congrats to you on Coach of the Year in your conference. Congrats to Manny Roman at FDU on his Coach of the Year. Two of my guys. That was my 2022 FDU staff there, which was a dream staff to be around. But at least two of the three of us got Coach of the Year. You know, I'm still waiting for mine. But yeah, it's been awesome out here. This is now, believe it or not, start of my fifth year out here at USF as the head coach, and got the job after leaving FDU in the summer of 2022, and took over a tough situation, like most situations you take over back then 4 years ago, and we're all the smartest people in the room, and we're going to turn it around fast. And the first 2 years, we did not turn anything around. We kind of went backwards a little bit as far as what we were trying to accomplish, and luckily for me, the admins and everyone here that hired me knew the situation we were taking over, and they trusted me to build it the right way. And by year three, which was it's 24-25 season, we were finally in the playoffs, snuck in there on the last day, turned it around a little bit, had finally the remnants of the culture you want developed. There were still little pieces that weren't quite there yet. And then this year, even though it ended really well, we got all the way to the conference title game on the last night and lost by a run, and it's still crushing. But, the season didn't really – I thought we were really good, and our overall record regular season-wise wasn't really there. As far as out of conference and stuff, we were really good in conference. We finished in basically a four-way tie for the 2 seed, and Pacific ended up tying a game, which got them the bye. So we were the 3 seed, which was I think the highest the school has been here in the last 10 years. And then when the tournament came, we made our run and went 4-2 in a 4-day span in Scottsdale in 105-degree weather, losing the second night to Pacific on a walk-off grand slam at 11 at night. Going into the tournament, I thought we had 2 really good pitchers, and I didn't know what we'd do after the first 2. And after 2 games, we're 1-1 and still 4 wins from a championship. And I said, well, it was a great run. We got to play the 1 seed Gonzaga at 10 a.m. after that grand slam. And they had swept us 2 weeks earlier, beat the hell out of us. They were by far the best team. And we found a way to survive that game and kept going and won 3 more games to get to the last game with running on fumes and energy. But it was really awesome. And the closer you get, the more the hurt is. And being one run away, I guess it was twofold. It solidified to me that what we're doing is working. Solidified to me that, all right, man, I can coach. These guys can play. We are doing the right things, but it also hurts because you don't know how many opportunities you get in life to be a run and out and inning away from the Division I NCAA regionals, which has always been a dream of everybody when you're on this roster. So it's been awesome. We're excited for year 5. Recruiting's an interesting place right now, which I'm sure we'll get into, but really excited about what we think the roster is going to be. That could change, I guess, with all these rulings every single day, but really pumped here. It's an awesome place. I have absolutely zero regrets of leaving where I grew up and where I lived for 38 years. And I believe I live in the best state to coach baseball in, and the most talent and the most fun. And it has challenged me beyond belief to try and match coaching ability with the people we have to compete against every day. And I'm absolutely loving what we do.
And a new contract extension, which from my vantage point and everybody from the outside looking in, is the school saying, hey, Rob, we not only believe in what you've done, but man, we are excited for the next step of San Francisco baseball. And simply put, how freaking cool is it? Like, how cool is it to look back? Though I know you haven't reached the heights you want to reach, and we can get into that for 5 more podcasts, but just simply put, when you take over a program and you build it to the place of people believe it's a good program, how cool does that feel?
It's very rewarding and very grateful for it because, on paper, the record wouldn't show the results that you had to be inside of what we took over. And if you were around our team for that tournament, you would have felt what we started deeming the word Don Ball. It's just this energy and vibe that I had to take a step back a few times in the tournament, remind myself where I was, look around the stadium and hear our team and our fans and parents. And we're like on the 4th night of how are we still doing this, and just be like, man, look how cool this thing we created together was. And for your admins and people to believe in what you're doing without championships necessarily being won, it means a lot. And there's a lot of people, that when you leave FDU and go to the West Coast Conference, there's a lot of people wondering, is there going to be a second contract? Is this a smart move? And I wouldn't say proving people wrong, but just proving ourselves right for betting on ourselves. And coaching's coaching, baseball's baseball. So just super proud of it. But as you know, if you don't got the right people around you, coaching staff, players, we as head coaches, we get a lot of credit we don't deserve. I think we get a lot of blame we don't deserve, but you need a lot of pieces working for you for this to work. And obviously me and my family are super grateful for knowing where we're going to be for a while, and we don't want to be anywhere else.
Is there a major difference between West Coast baseball, East Coast baseball, or is that just something that is an easy thing for me, the talking radio head, to throw out, but in actuality, baseball in the Eastern time zone and baseball in the Western time zone are similar?
I mean, the game's the game, but the depth of the game, I feel like, is much better in the West Coast. There's no easy landing spots. There's no soft Tuesday game to find yourself, to get right. That's what I've been amazed with the most. You're making a schedule in your first 2 years. You haven't seen these schools, and you see a team's record, and you're like, oh, get them on the schedule. That we can get 2 out of 3 there. There is just nothing that's easy about any game. Like, everybody's good. There's good teams just having bad years, I guess, is the best way to explain the bottoms of the Western conferences. And I think it proved itself in the regional. Like, St. Mary's came in 5th place in our league. We came in 3rd. We're 1 run separating. St. Mary's goes on to win the league and beats UCLA twice and gets to a regional final, and that's our 5th place team. Now, they're very talented. They probably weren't a 5th place team, but Pacific had a good year. Gonzaga was head and shoulders the most talented team, could have won a regional. I think the problem with the NCAA is they put 7 of the 8 California teams in 2 regionals, and they all got to go beat each other up. And I'm sure UCLA was none too thrilled to be the number 1 overall seed and see the West Coast Conference champion, the Big West champion in their league. And it's like, man, these are all kids we all recruit together, play in midweek. So they don't have that same fear factor of maybe if we were FDU and we were flying out to play UCLA as a 4 seed.
yeah.
Nothing against that, but that's not the same level of 4 seed as a St. Mary's or a Cal Poly and these things. So it's just depth, man. It's really, that's what I meant before. It's super challenging, and it's made me a 100-time better coach, and very humbling at times to, if you're not prepared at something, you're not getting away with it out here.
We are talking to Rob DiToma, the head baseball coach at University of San Francisco. Rob, when you throw out head baseball coach, assistant baseball coach, insert coaching title, Division I here, I think people might assume what that looks like. Now, if I ask you this next question, I also expect you could answer it for the next 24 hours. So you deem what's appropriate, but could you just describe some of the roles that you have to operate on a daily basis as a Division I head coach, and how that might vary from certain conference to region to wherever you are in the nation? If you could just explain that.
However you look at it, I think it, unfortunately, a lot of the role now is raising money or figuring out how you're going to keep your players or get your scholarship level to the ones of some of your competition, and you don't even know what you're chasing because you hear rumors and none of this is public knowledge. So being a head coach is a lot, at least 12 months. It's a lot less of the coaching baseball than I would like it to be. But what I do love about it, and the biggest part I believe of my job, is to bring in the right people to your program and the culture that surrounds your program. And that I do love, because I have great coaches between Cam Rowland, John Garvey, Eric Ma, Matty Woods. All these guys work their butts off for the program, which allows me to do what I think is a strength of mine, is create a team, and a culture and an attitude that we need to win at our level. So I think the two biggest things of my job right now is the attitude amongst the team in a world where it's become very transactional. Oh, yeah. And we have to just deal with that. And I learned that a little bit even at the end of our year, where it was the tightest team I've ever been around, and you lose on the Saturday night, and by Monday you're in your office having meetings of how much it's going to cost to keep somebody, or how much they need to stay, or do you think I can get more money elsewhere? And it's just nothing wrong that they're doing. It's just the realities of the job now. And that's where it kicks in the other part, where it's like, we used to fundraise money so our budget was bigger. And now it's like, we got to get these guys to want to stay here and be here. And, every dime you spend in the budget is taking away from a dime that might get you a shortstop or a pitcher or a fielder. And
how much get into college in their pocket? Like, that's crazy.
None of us got into college coaching to be professional coaches in a sense of managing salary caps and that kind of stuff. But again, you just adapt and figure it out. But on the day-to-day, once the season starts and stuff, I really put all that stuff on the back burner and pour everything into our guys and go back to what I got in, which is the love of coaching the game and teaching the guys on a day-to-day basis.
Is that difficult sometimes, staying there for the love of the game when you have to navigate the new NCAA?
Hard if you think about it, not hard if you just focus on getting the players to be the best players they can be every single day, best players, best people. So it hurts. It hurts when it becomes a transactional combo at the end, but this year taught me a lot, and I left a job for a higher paying job, and if something happens like that, these kids deserve the opportunity in the rules, the way they're set, to explore their options. So as long as we're not having combos that are lies or deceitful, or before you're allowed to talk to other schools and stuff like that, it's still our jobs as coaches to coach our players, coach the full roster, get them in the best experience they could be. So now I'm getting better with it. You just coach the team, and I do not coach any different, worried about what's going to happen at the end of the year meeting. We got to pour everything in every day and kind of realize we're all probably coaching. We're definitely coaching a team that it's 1 year at a time, and the roster's going to change, whether it's graduation transfers or just the world we're in. You are not in a 4-year relationship with a 40-man roster anymore, like maybe we used to be.
And it's been nearly 20 years for you in your career. So you've seen like 30 versions of the NCAA. Point blank period. Do you like where the NCAA is trending? And is there anything that you would like to see added to maybe help put stop gaps so that some weird things that have happened in the past don't happen again?
Well, I did, for my first 14 years as an assistant, not too many rules changed at all. And then it was like I became a head coach, COVID hit. And now it's nothing I prepared for as an assistant became the world as a head coach. And I feel like from COVID till about last year, we were in the wild west of rules changing every day and chaos, to try and make up for the 80 years of players not being able to make a dime and being suppressed, and which I agree with. Like they should, if NIL was, if name, image, and likeness was what it was supposed to be, it's an awesome concept. But obviously, anytime you're in a profession where people get rewarded for wins, they're going to take things above and beyond financially and all that stuff. So I do, to answer your question, I do think if it keeps going to, I know it upsets people, but you can put these things in place that have been in the most recent kind of acts and stuff that Congress is trying to put in, and we get to that 5-year window, and maybe you can only transfer once unless there's extenuating circumstances. I think those are good things. I think there should be an ability to make money to an extent.
Oh yeah,
it'll be through something that we can all monitor. But no matter what you do, man, if people can pay people, there'll be a friend that can pay them for you, and all the things that go on, and to act like, oh, you can't use it in recruiting. Well, we're just being naive and really not paying attention to what it is. But I do like some of the newer stuff that's come along lately where it's 5 years. Hey, man, they can go to Romo school, get more physical, play a lot, and still have 4 years of eligibility to get to where they want to go. And I like that. I think that's good. I think it's really great for a high school kid he gets to decide, hey, I can sit on the bench in a place and still have 4 years, or I can go to a JUCO or a D2 or D3 and play for 2 years and still have 3. So I think we're trending in the right direction, but there's going to be a million speed bumps. And unfortunately, lawyers get involved like the last couple of days. And we're going to have to draw a point where some people get affected. And obviously, as we've learned, whenever a class gets affected, there's going to be a lot of fighting that goes on. And that's, that was if you think back to where this all started, it was because when COVID hit, we didn't want to just give the one class their year back. We had to give everybody their year back, which got everybody, in their mind, the entitlement of I'm going to play 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. And we can't settle these things on a case-by-case basis. We're going to be in this forever if that's the case.
And isn't the common adage, Rob, that life isn't fair? Like, I feel like my whole life people have been like, yo, Andrew, life's not fair. And like, but when it comes to the NCAA, though, it's like, well, let's see how fair we can make it. It's like, listen, cut and dry. This is the rule moving forward. I pose this to you and I want to hear your thoughts. Okay. I think everyone, because what you said before is so true. Like, if I want to leave tomorrow for a higher paying job, is that not the same thing as me playing at a D3 school for 2 years and then collecting an NIL for the next 2? It's the exact same thing. So for me, everyone has that 1 year. But if within 365 days of that transfer, if there's no extenuating circumstances, I think that's then where the line should be drawn. I think a player should have to stay 2 years after the transfer, outside of injury, some family, something else that you can submit to the NCAA. What are your thoughts on that, or is that still a little bit too much?
Well, I think whenever there's gray area, people are going to take advantage. So if you start putting family, I mean, I grew up like you wanted to change high schools, you started pretending your parents were divorced, you changed your address. There's just a lot of ways around it. So, I mean, the only way it works, we can jump around as coaches, but we typically have contracts that you got to either have a buyout or someone's got to let you out of your deal and the other school pays for it. So the only real way you solve it, which probably never happens, is there's actual contracts and things you have to honor. But that only works if you have a collective bargaining situation and the players have representation. And right now, the student athletes representation is their own individual lawyer that they hire to go fight it in whichever state is going to give them the answer they want to hear. And that system obviously doesn't work. But I think I don't know, like I thought what we passed was a national law, and then one court in Colorado changed their interpretation of the law. So I don't know, it goes on forever. But I think there's a lot of good in the idea of transferring once and having 5 years to do it. And now maybe there's a rule if a coach cuts you or tells you to leave, you can now transfer again. But this all has to be documented. And we're in a sport still in Division I baseball where you can still have a lot of guys on your roster in the fall because you don't have to put them on a team till December 1. And with that, you know what goes on with that. So it makes it a tough situation. So I really don't know the answer. But yeah, there's logic to it if people would stop trying to fight every single rule because it hurts one person that wants to get a lawyer and fight it.
Yeah, my feelings get hurt. Now I have to fight it. Sounds like 2026. Rob DiToma, head baseball coach, University of San Francisco. Let's get back to San Fran real quickly. And then I want to get off of the NCAA. I want to get into a little Major League Baseball. And for those that don't or haven't heard, I should say, Rob on the show before, Rob is an avid National Football League fan, as a lot of Americans are. We love American football. However, Rob's more knowledgeable than most. So we're going to get some of his thoughts and opinions on the National Football League. So, Rob, keep that in the back of your mind. As a coach, and I know other coaches are listening to this, it would behoove me to not ask you this question because I just find it very interesting when you get to watch people build a business, build a program as you did, or anything in between. What was the first thing you did when you got to San Francisco? Like, was there an idea, a principle, a statement, something that Rob's like, this is going to be a part of who we are to build this culture?
I tried to come in and implement the same kind of standards that I've had forever as a head coach, and even some of it at the end of the time at Fordham, where it was basically along the concepts of we had them at FDU, the United Standards, was just respecting the uniform, respecting the game, and respecting the people that got us here. And to me, there's all different versions of that, but we're all privileged to wear a baseball uniform with a logo on it, representing a university, and that it's the people that got you here are usually your parents, coaches, a lot of sacrifice to get you there. And then the game is just, it's a short period of time you get to play this game, so you play it as hard as you can with the respect. But, that first, it didn't click with the first group, and really only half of the second group. And I had to tweak things a little. And I learned fast that I was walking into a lot tougher of a situation than I thought I was from, 3,000 miles away. A coach gets fired, you figure there's going to be happy people, unhappy people. The depth with which alumni, city, local were kind of against the situation made it very hard to overcome. And I inherited a team that, you'd hear bad things from our team about the city we play in and the university we play for. So I really had to start talking more about pride and having pride in what we do every day and being a professional and carrying yourself that way. And of course, like most things I'm sure you put in, they start as a joke and then they start growing as something that people start to believe in. You start getting mocked. And really, we just had to take some beatings. But I think the best thing I started doing was incorporating the city and the team as one. And year 2, we started with the tradition of walking over the Golden Gate Bridge and back to start the school year as a team. And it's been awesome. I think it's awesome that these guys are going to get to tell their kids someday that the first time I walked over that bridge was with my college teammates and our baseball team in September of my first semester, and we started finding more things in the city to embrace, to learn about. We had 5 different groups talk about things to be proud of on the campus, in the program, in the city. And started, again, we didn't get great results year 2, but the tradition kept carrying on. And my last year's team, Don Ball, embracing the city, embracing the days where it's a little foggy. We kind of used that when we played San Diego, and it was like forecast
Rain day.
for rain. And I sold that all week, man. They're coming up from the beautiful San Diego, and we're from gritty, grindy San Francisco in the rain. And we found a way to win that series and use the old Marv Levy. I think it's his birthday today. When it's too tough for them, it's just right for us, the old Buffalo Bills stuff. And that was it. I mean, that's my biggest piece of advice to coaches taking over something is probably the stuff you used elsewhere, only bits and pieces of it are going to work, especially if you're changing an entire environment and you want your culture to be unique to whatever your situation is, And the reason it worked with this team last year was Gabe Barrett was our ace. He had been here from the beginning, and he said, I'm sick and tired of changing words and all this stuff we talk about. I want something that's going to last forever. And that's really where Don Ball started. It was just playing for each other, playing for the next pitch and not wanting it to end. That's what we hope is what guys can talk about 20 years from now if I'm still the coach here and they're coming back. It's like, that Don Ball thing, well, we started it in 2026. That's at least those guys hope. And I thought that was cool for a 22-year-old kid to have that depth of thinking 10 years down the road that he wants to be the one who started things like the Long Beach State becoming the Dirtbags or Frog Ball down at TCU, things that are longer lasting than just that current roster, I guess.
I can completely understand that now, tipping my hand here as a mentee and a coach off the tree of Rob DiToma. We obviously call ours Clones Ball. And the funny part about that is it is cool because it all does start as a joke. Like what you're saying is so true. And unless you're in that moment, and at first as a coach, it kind of smacks you. You're like, are they messing around right now? Or like, are they taking it serious? But like the one thing I think I started to learn, Rob, and tell me if you feel the same way or not, is if the players start to joke around about it a little bit, it's their subtle way of saying like, hey coach, we kind of hear you, but it's going to take us a second. So we're going to josh you a little bit. We're going to mess around a little bit. But eventually it clicks. And I think I've learned that. And hearing you say that, I think it's when your players don't want to talk about it. They don't want to say anything about it, or they don't even mention it, whether joking or not, that I think you start to realize, hey, maybe what I brought to the table maybe should be taken right back off the table. So I love hearing that perspective. And I also love knowing that 3,000 miles away, I could be living off your concept, and it works at the Division III level as well. Let me ask you this, and I think I know the answer, but I'm curious. If you weren't coaching baseball, what sport would you coach?
Well, the only other one I coached was basketball, but I would pick football because I might have a heart attack and be gone in about a week with the intensity level. Because I mean, you've seen me do it. To me, a baseball game is like a football game when it comes to our preparation we put into it and the intensity of it. And I know that's hard because there's 56 of them at our level, but football is it for me. To me, it's my passion. Like when it comes to the organization of things, and I'm just still amazed at how does a head coach have 102 players and 25 staff, and the great ones are connected to everybody. I'm fascinated by it. I love when I study coaches. Football coaches are the first ones I study because I feel like they have such a big task, and I'm kind of jealous the impact football and basketball coaches have on every single play. And in baseball, we don't have as much of an impact as we want on an every single play factor, but I'm sure there's an extra added element of pressure that comes to that when you're the play caller of a NFL offense and stuff like that. But yeah, I love the war strategies of football and hearing those talks. I mean, that would be it's too late maybe, but that would have been an awesome dream to follow.
Are you a D coordinator, O coordinator? Do you want to be the head ball coach? Like, are you just like headset, give me the offense?
Yeah, probably offense, but yeah, I would want to be it's kind of like I do that. I wouldn't want to run either side of the ball, but I want to interject in that headset, like those old Parcells videos where he's screaming at Belichick, no, we're not running that right now. Getting goal line. And, to me, I think that's getting into football. I think that's what's lost in today's NFL head coach. A lot of them are buried in a play sheet and are basically coaching one side of the ball. And it's like, I don't know. You coach your team at Centenary, you can't get a feel for your team if you're looking at a sheet the whole game. You need to know what that guy's thinking, how he's feeling. Can I go trust this pitcher to throw? I don't care about the next play. And that's why you see a lot of coaching mistakes in the NFL, that the guy sitting home on the couch knows better when to call timeout or what's going on because his head wasn't in the sheet for 30 seconds trying to think of the next three plays. And I think no matter what we do analytically in all our sports, people win championships. And people, you got to relate to people. And the best coaches and best business leaders, the best anything that's competitive, it's pretty much about relationships and rarely about how tactically smart you are or any of that stuff. You better have your guys running through a wall for you in any walk of life if you're going to go beat someone at something that two people are competing at the highest level to go win.
And you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but what I've learned is it doesn't matter if that's a college athlete or a professional making $700 million. People want to feel that version of a relationship no matter which level they're at.
And people, which I'm sure now you've learned as a head coach, you have another team you're coaching as a head coach, and that's all your coaches. And with them, grown adults that have different feelings, emotions, ways you got to speak to them. And that's something I try and get better at every day is your coaches are just as important as the player. You got to get them to perform at their highest level for the team to perform. So, yeah, 100%, man. I mean, I'm sure there's, I don't know if Juan Soto cares about that stuff. There's some hired guns they're just there to perform. But others, I mean, if you want to get a team to accomplish something, and that's business too. And I've learned that even from reading stuff from your dad and all the you better get everybody on board and make them feel like they're part of what's going on here.
Yeah, everyone wants to feel a part of something. Rob DiToma, head baseball coach, University of San Francisco. I feel that way about Myles Garrett and the Rams right now, actually, Rob, to segue into football. Though Myles Garrett is quite possibly the best defensive player in the league, I am a firm believer that sometimes if you can't win with them, you can also not win without them. So is it that the Rams got a great player that's not built to be on a winning team, or is it that the Cleveland Browns organization is that bad, or both?
I think the Cleveland Browns organization is pretty bad.
They are bad.
I think there's just this one team that I root for in New York that has just been poorly run forever. I think there's just places that are dead zones in the NFL that are just not, they're never really going to have success. So it's, yet to be told, but I mean, he's an immense talent. And to me, like, Garrett came off as he actually did. He doesn't seem that selfish. Now, we don't know these guys, but he does seem like a team guy. And he never really badmouthed the organization or anything as they were going, playing those games as a 3-win team and chasing the sack record and all that stuff. But I do think almost like I'd rather not be the Rams if I was in the NFL, right? You don't want the weight of the world on your shoulder in a league that's very close. All the talent in the world in the NFL doesn't matter on one game in January where anything can happen and everybody's elite and a quarterback can go off on any given day and beat you. And I'd rather be the underdog team that's not supposed to win. And I feel the same way about the Dodgers. Like, yeah, man, they keep adding these guys and that's great, but they had all that last year and it took miraculous things happening in a game 7 to survive. And they've had those best of 3s, best of 5s where you can get knocked out. So, yeah, it helps having all the players. But there is a mental side to sports where we've seen it a lot recently, I'd say. Probably the last, 10, 15 years in all sports where, like, that underdog wins a lot. There's a mentality to it. There's Indiana football. There's just things where you don't want to be the one that everyone expects to win because these are humans playing on the team. And with all the access we have to stuff now, when you're told you're supposed to win, there's human nature that you are going to work less than the guy that's told he's not supposed to win. And that's the competitive fight in people. I love when our teams get picked at the bottom. There's a fight to that where the last thing I ever want, I mean, it's cool if, your peers think you're the best and you put the best team together, but I don't want to be the number one preseason team. I want to be the number one postseason team. I want to have the year. So there's a mental side to sports but the good part of the Rams is I really think McVay is special at what he does. And I think he gets superstars to buy into the team concept. And that's why they're where they are every year. And they're always one of the last 4 teams standing and always there in the end. So I think if anyone, he's one of the few coaches I think can handle that amount of talent because of what we talked about before. I mean, you watch him walk up and down the stretch line. He is an offensive coach that I think is very, very connected to the roster top to bottom. So if anyone could do it, I think he can.
I got to imagine that's one of the head coaches that when you're looking for your head coach inspiration, Sean McVay comes up on your list.
Oh, he's got so many good, like the press conferences. It's never really. He's never says I. It's the we. If you think back, he took the blame and almost. They lost 4 games. They lost like 4 games year, all on ridiculous craziness that happened at the end of games. That it took like 7 miracles to beat them, and he always blamed himself first. As good leaders do, at least in the public eye, and then they got to correct what went wrong internally. But yeah, he's definitely in the top couple guys I turn to when I'm ever looking for inspiration on stuff, how to talk to a team, how to get the whole roster to buy in, how to basically be a leader. I don't really care how he runs his offense. I care the leadership stuff and how he carries himself. And as you've probably learned again, when you're the head coach, every eye turns to you when something goes wrong, right? No one's looking at you when the guy hits a 2-run bomb that you put the pinch hitter, and they're celebrating with their teammate. But when you bring a reliever in who walks the park, or an umpire gives you a bad call, it's the easier way. They couldn't look themselves in the mirror if they let them go. So they got to save face there.
I said this to somebody the other day. This feels to me like the modern day Matthew Stafford. Now, obviously, Stafford's still in the league, but I just feel like we're going to be looking back in 10 years on a second version of Matthew Stafford with Joe Burrow. Now, does he get the titles somewhere else? Does it even happen, to your point? I don't know. But Rob, that's what it feels like to me right now.
I'd agree. I mean, the Stafford one was just, I mean, I'm guilty of that. I didn't think he was that good, right? You're part of your organization. You think he's pad the stats and, keep, come back late because you're down. And then to McVay's credit, I mean, how many coaches get rid of a quarterback that took them to a Super Bowl in golf?
Right.
Because they saw we can't be what I want us to be, and Stafford's available.
It's a quarterback version of Tom Thibodeau. It's literally the exact same.
Exactly. But that was, who knows?
Yeah. And that is why I say this as honest as I can. It doesn't matter if injuries start to play your football team. So over the next 6 weeks, don't even worry about if your team looks good. Just hope that no one gets hurt. Would you agree? I mean, like the next 6 weeks for me are not about can my team get better at the running the football. It's can we not get anyone important hurt?
Yeah, I think that the coaches and the players have set that up for you because they don't even play these preseason games anymore. And it's almost like the month of September, first 4 weeks is basically the preseason now with a 17-game schedule and an extra team making the playoffs. No one's afraid of being 0-2 anymore, I don't think. And yeah, you're more afraid if your quarterback goes down, we have no season. So I think we watch as fans, we watch some sloppy week 1 and 2 games, I think, because we don't see a lot of football. But do we care? No, we're going to be watching no matter what happens. So
I'll be
yeah.
now like this at my TV.
Yeah, it's a not getting injured. I don't pay attention to. I'm not an NFL junkie in August. More when we get to September. I do not turn NFL Network on to see how training camps go. But in any of these places, it's just not. I will tune into some press conferences and more like studying coaches and hearing what they're talking about, or seeing team break some stuff down. But I don't really care. I got my team knows I'm a Jet fan. Like, are you going to track the quarterback? Geno Smith. Like, I will not watch one thing about them until week 1, and then I'll be agitated. And I'll be like, "What the heck is going on?"
So good. We're talking to quarterback whisperer. No. Head baseball coach at University of San Francisco, Rob DiToma. Thoughts on Jackson Dart? Because I know that you're a guy that likes the gritty dude, but do you feel like he can last in the NFL and be a starter for 15 years for the Giants?
I mean, I don't want you like record this and we'll look back in 15 years. But to me, availability you need as a quarterback, and he's in the tent more than he was on the field last year. And you got to be healthy. And I think if he doesn't learn how to protect, I mean, you got to give him credit for how hard he plays and his willingness to jump over people and put his head down and run. But hopefully Harbaugh is going to tell him that we need you on. We don't need that first down as bad as we need you on the field for all 4 quarters, and there's a time and place to sell out for the team, and it's the game-winning drive, or he's got to pick and choose, and that's hard. It's hard when you're an all-in type athlete to you almost look as ducking out of bounds on 3rd and 8, 5 yards short, as I've let my team down, but the organization has to explain that Tom Brady isn't doing that. Pat Mahomes isn't putting his life on the line in week 2. And that's something he better learn if you want to have a 15-year NFL career. So he's not physically big enough to take that kind of beating every single day, and to be honest, I haven't. Maybe other people have. Watching those Giant games could be a product of the team and the ridiculous coaching situation they were going through, but like, he didn't look good enough to me on a drive-to-drive basis to sit in the pocket and pick apart a defense, and hopefully that's what happens for him, because to me, you have to eventually come to a point where you can read defenses, be past your first read, and actually sit there in a pocket, scramble a little to create time, and pick apart a defense. And I don't think he's shown that in any meaningful spot yet. And I think he's got the right coach, I think, for it, because similar to Lamar Jackson early in his career, that's all the stuff we were saying about him. And I think he's proven he can sit in the pocket and throw big touchdown passes for the Ravens. So, it just takes a lot of teaching and learning. But to me, his biggest problem, or not problem, but biggest issue is, to me, he wants to be a celebrity right now. And I'll go back to the old Parcells theory. We don't need celebrity quarterback. Like, let your winning make you the celebrity. And he's done no winning. And he's at the forefront of a lot of stuff right now that maybe it's going to turn out to be meaningless, but I want my quarterback in the room being a leader and studying and becoming better. I don't want my quarterback. This isn't about politics or anything. I don't want them at anything except football. I don't want them at the Met Gala. I don't want them all dressed up. Maybe that's old school, but look at the greatest quarterbacks we watched of our time. They're not at too much extracurricular stuff until they've won 3 or 4 Super Bowls, and now they're a big deal. Like, I want my guys. You're in year 2 or 3.
Let's relax.
Go win some football.
Watch some video. Yeah. Right now, there's someone out there. They're like, "Oh, Rob and Andrew are get off my lawn, guys." Well, you know what? I got to be honest with you. That there are certain lines, and that is definitely a line. I agree with you. And you mentioned Tom Brady. I mean, like, if people consider that guy the greatest quarterback of all time, or one of them, or whatever category you want to put him in, you got to look at his habits, and you got to look at the way he went about things. And I actually think what Tom Brady's doing now is totally gross, but I'm not even gonna get into that. But
at least his career's over. Like, right. Do whatever you want. Yeah.
And you just said that. He's got so many Super Bowl rings. He is revered as the greatest of all time. You know what? You want to look like an idiot with one of the Paul brothers? Feel free. But Jackson Dart, who's 16 months into his NFL career, and by the way, and I think this is a general question, Rob, but it's maybe more towards football. Like, the lifespan for any athlete, pro athlete, is so short. So, like, in my opinion, you got to do everything you can to expand that window. And though maybe going to the Met Gala or doing something else isn't necessarily hurting that window, it's not helping it, though. And I'm trying to expand that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the other side of that is the window could be so short that they're trying to make money, put themselves out there, market. Yeah. I mean, we're all part of the problem in the sense of these guys are making. I mean, the NFL quarterback now is almost making more money in college before they get there than these guys. So, like, who are we to tell them to stay out of that world? I'm just saying, I've yet to see a quarterback in my time of watching the NFL, which is a decent amount of time now, be a superstar off the field before they ever, and that amount of winning enough games. And I don't think that ever changes. That is the one position that you kind of need a football geek. Like, you're the leader of the team in every sense of the word. You're more powerful than I think any person in any organization of any sport, coach, owner, GM. If, like, you are the quarterback, everything hinges on you. The closest thing is a pitcher on the mound with the game on the line, and it used to be the starter, but they don't go 3 innings anymore. So it's like, it's quarterback, man. So until I see one that is doing what Dart does and then starts winning championships, I'd be surprised. It's you can't cheat the work. You can't cheat the work it takes to be really great at that position.
If you don't learn anything today, I need you to learn one thing, and that's the statement that Rob just made, which is you cannot cheat the work. There's been a lot of good nuggets in here for the people, Rob. I almost don't want this to end. However, as we stated at the beginning of the show, Rob's a fourth-time participant on the Rome Show, so I can promise you'll see his beautiful face again. Here's how we end the Rome Show when we have an interview exclusive. Now, this is new to you because I wasn't this advanced when I had you on the first 3 times. We got the Rob minute here. So this is your minute, Rob. You can talk about anything you want. You want to call someone out. You want to ignite something fun. You just want to, bring up a point that you feel like has been sitting in your head. The floor is yours for the Rob DiToma minute.
Well, I'd say, being a college baseball coach as you are, but this would be a life lesson. We're in a crazy time recruiting, and then you coach your team and all this. It's basically my advice to everyone, and I got to tell myself this. You got to tell yourself this. It's just like you're not running anybody else's race here. You need to. A lot of what you read is not true. That's the best way I could put it. There's advisors, there's agents, there's myths, there's this, there's that, at every level of everything in every walk of life. Do not play the comparison game. And that, obviously, I'm speaking towards high school recruits who think it's a race and a rush. You have more options now than ever. You got the ability to bounce around. You can start at lower levels, extra years, all this stuff. Use that to your advantage. But for anyone out there in any walk of life, I'm as guilty of this as anyone. At any point in your career as a coach, you're stacking up your win-loss record against other people at their age. And what have I accomplished? And at the end of the day, man, nobody cares about you. It's not about that. And comparison, I think it's a scary thing. My son's 4 now, right? I don't want him feeling like he's got to come up in a world where social media, how do I stack? I think this is a lot of our mental health issues in our country is we're all guilty of putting people in a world where it's constant comparison. It's fake stuff on Instagram. It's how many likes can I get? Oh, my body don't look like his or hers. He's ahead of me. Why is that? I mean, I do it with watch a 4-year-old swing a T-ball, and it's like, man, I got to get Chase to work right now. And it's just we got to run our own race. Everyone's at a different place and all that stuff. I just think it's an old saying, but comparison's the thief of joy, man. Go set small goals for yourself. Go crush them. Move on to the next. And I'm just really amazed at how lucky we are in the world we live in. Being the age I am now. When I was 28, I thought 30 was the end of the world. 40 is the end. You got so much time to accomplish things you want and be where your feet are. I'm not saying don't have goals. I'm not saying go set out to go beat people, but don't compare it. Just do not compare where you are to someone else. Everybody is attacking things from a different starting point, and I think it's just a thief of enjoying the moment. You're one of the best people I've ever been around when it comes to staying positive, and I've learned so much from you. And if you saw me around the team now, you'd probably see a different person than the one you remember 5 years ago, and I'm proud of that because that means I'm growing and becoming something that this current version of our team needs. And I've only seen you negative once, and it was just finally I saw you crack when the craps table got you for like the 3rd day in a row in Atlantic City. It's the only time I've ever seen you negative. We were on one of them bad runs, and it's like, dude, we got him. We finally saw Romo's dark side come out. He is human after all. He's not the most positive person at all times. But I think we got them back on a later run. So
we did. We did.
That's my longer than 1 minute ramble of just be yourself, man. Go attack it. Go have fun and stop worrying about what the person next to you is accomplishing.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the sentiment. And I can sit here as somebody that has been affected by you in my career. Thank you. And I do see you living by that every day. And it's rather impressive. So whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, that's probably one of the most important messages I don't think anybody ever thinks about anymore. So kudos to you, man. And thanks for your time on the show. Did you enjoy getting back here?
Yeah, I can't believe it's been this long. I feel like we we've been trying to get it going. It's hard, man. You're a busy guy,
I know.
So got to make it happen. I know we got. Maybe we can reignite our convention one when we get out to Chicago if you're coming out in January.
You just took the words out of my mouth because I was thinking about driving because last time we went to Chicago, we dealt with bad flights in the snow. And I'm like, man, if I drive, I can bring the podcast equipment. We get the setup and then we're locked in at least.
I like it. That was one of our best ones.
It was one of our best ones. And I actually went back on that. It wasn't recently, maybe like a year ago now, because someone didn't believe me that we did it at the convention. I'm like, I wish I had a photo of Porter sitting by.
Yeah, we did on the balcony of the I think it was the Gaylord in Texas.
Yeah.
And they got you feel like you're outside, but you're inside. I just presented, and it was like a relief to be talking about football instead of base stealing.
That was great. You went from wearing full uniform to talking about I don't even know who we were talking about at the time. That's hilarious. Yeah, we'll get it going. I appreciate it, and I'm sure that people are going to want you back for some football coverage as well. So we'll have to talk about that too.
Well, hopefully the ratings stay high and I come back for a fifth appearance.
The numbers don't lie, and I'll keep you posted. All right. Hey, Rob, thank you. I appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, man.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of The Rome Show and our interview exclusive with Rob DiToma, the head baseball coach at the University of San Francisco. We hope you enjoyed the conversation, Rob's perspective on the game of baseball and the National Football League. But most importantly, this show made you want to come back for some more. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. That's youtube.com/the Romanellas, youtube.com/the Romanellas. Hit the subscribe button, or you can scan the QR code in the top right corner of your screen. Facebook.com/the Rome Show, Twitter X, and Instagram, The Rome Show 1. I'm Andrew Romanella. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, have an electric day. Peace.
Thank you for listening.